Hi everyone, I'm Jo Fry and this is my channel, Jojo Fry Rocks, and in this video you're going to watch me really badly fumble an unboxing and give you some first impressions of this wonderful Jet JT600 BS G. G I think is for gold hardware, from Jet Guitars, which they have very kindly loaned me, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But yes, I looked at some of the footage that I did yesterday of unboxing and just trying to give you an overview of the setup, how it's come from the factory. I had to do that in my kitchen on the table, which wasn't ideal, and I wasn't necessarily very happy with how it turned out. I think I just hadn't thought it through very well. I'm not great at doing, the camera angles and things. My partner was trying to help me, and I think I just got myself into a bit of a bad situation. So yeah, I thought what I'll do is actually do this in two parts. So this is part one, and it's just going to give you a general idea. And, it'd be good to get your thoughts as well and your sort of first reactions and impressions. But if you do want to see a proper kind of review and demo, I would suggest you go and look at Steve Cassidy's video. I'll put a link to it in the description because he knows what he's doing. And this is the first time that I've ever done anything like this on the channel. I'm really excited, but I've realised it's a lot more difficult than you might think. So these guys, they all make it look really easy, and it really isn't. So that's kind of the first thing to say. But secondly, there's kind of a bit more at stake here for me. It's not just a demo or review or something telling you about the guitar. It is trying to be that, but for me, this is about whether or not I actually want to buy this. And if I do, I've already committed to saying that I'm not just going to keep collecting guitars, right? I've got 7 slots on my rack, and that is currently the limit. So I'm going to do a second part of this video, and that's going to be a shootout. So that's going to be the Richie Kotzen, as I'm calling it. If you know, you know. Versus my classic vibe thin line telly. It's going to be a battle of the tellies. So I've had the classic vibe telly for about just almost exactly a year now. I got this because I was starting to listen to Richie Kotzen's music, and I was watching a lot of interviews and things with him, and he talked about the fact that he has one of these and he uses it mostly for recording in the studio. So this is kind of a lot of where that tone is coming from, or that's what I thought anyway. And of course he has an actual Fender 72 thin line telly with the real Fender wide-ranging pickups, the Cunifay ones, which these are not. So actually, maybe this is even more of a Richie Kotzen because it isn't the same thing actually that he has. But anyway, I think that this is actually quite a comparable guitar. So the second part of the video is going to be a shootout between these two for me to really decide which one stays and which one goes, because if I did want to buy that one, I'm going to have to raise the funds somehow, which means I'm going to have to sell this guy. So, tough decision. Hopefully doing this video will help, and it would be great to hear some of your thoughts and some of your comments and stuff. That will really help to kind of feed into the decision-making process. Anyway, letting you watch the the first part of the video, which, if nothing else, maybe will provide a little bit of comedy value. Okay, enjoy. Right, so here we have the JT600 BS G from Jet Guitars. Thank you so much, Tom, for sending this to me. I better get on with the unboxing then, I guess. Woo! New guitar day! Although I don't necessarily get to keep this, so depends whether or not I actually decide to buy it. So yeah, disclaimer at the start of the video, I suppose. This is not a freebie, this video is not sponsored, I haven't been paid to do this. I actually badgered Jet into sending me one of these to have a look at and send back to them if I decide to. But yes, what I want to actually do in this video is think about whether I actually want to keep this guitar, because if I do, it means I'm going to have to sell one. So, got a lot at stake here. Right. Very well packaged. And it did arrive very quickly as well. They only sent it out yesterday. Plenty of bubble wrap in there. Right. So I don't know what music that was supposed to be. Okay, so you will all recognise the Jet box because we've all seen Steve Cassidy's channel. Yeah, here we go. Here we are. Here we go. Oh, it's shiny. It's so shiny. Oh, wow. That is gorgeous. Oh my goodness. Oh wow. That is so pretty. Oh my goodness. Looks pretty good. Feels very nice and light already as well. So what comes in the box with it? Got a cable, got your Allen keys for setup, and we'll be checking over the setup and how it's come out of the box a little bit later on. But yeah, here it is. Oh, that's not come away very well in one piece. There we go, there we go. Oh, that's not good peeling action. Oh no, it's got some bits stuck. Oh good God, I'm messing this up really badly. I can't get this bit of plastic off. Oh good God, get me the knife.
Three hours later.
Oh no, it's all stuck around here. Ah, got it. Get that little bit. Oh no. Got a really annoying little bit under this screw now. I'm gonna have to go deal with that. I've had to ask Matt to help me get started on this bit because he's got nails and I haven't. Hopefully won't have a repeat of the plastic getting stuck under the screw this time. Oh no. Oh no, I'm stuck. Oh no. Oh no. I'm stuck. Oh, there we go. Oh, I'm so good at this. Such a pro. There we go. All unboxed. Just found some more plastic that I haven't peeled off yet. Ah, there we go. Got to get all these bits off. Not a proper unboxing unless you get all the plastic. Oh, there we go. There we go. Okay. Something else in the box as well. What have we got here? Ooh, it's like Christmas. It's better than Christmas. Oh, yes. Fantastic. A lovely Jet t-shirt. Thanks, guys. I mean, I am assuming that I get to keep the t-shirt, right? Or if I don't want the guitar, to have to send that back as well? Because does this make it a sponsored video if I keep the t-shirt? I just wanted to mention a couple of little flaws and little scratches that I found when I unboxed this. So it looked pretty pristine, first of all. But on closer inspection, I noticed that there were a few little scratches on the back, just round where, near the jack plug, where that would go in. You probably can't see them too well, actually, because it's so shiny and reflective, but they are there. And there are a couple of other places that I've spotted as well, just on the back, where it could either be little flaws in the finishing, but there's a tiny little scratch over here as well. Don't know if you can see that particularly, but it's quite sort of obvious in person. So those were the only things that I could see kind of wrong with it out of the box. Everything else seems fine and really, really nice. Okay, so we've got the guitar on my makeshift bench here, and we're going to go through some of the specs, working from the headstock downwards. And there are a lot of very kind of premium feeling appointments which I think is really quite surprising on a guitar at this price point. And a lot of these things are either equal or better quality than the features that are actually on the Fender Richie Kotzen signature telly, which is what I think you'll find quite surprising. So we have these gold locking tuners, Jet own brand locking tuners. We're going to have a little try of those when we see whether this is in tune out of the box and see how they feel and what the ratios are like. But that's the first kind of premium feature that I don't believe the actual Fender telly, Richie Kotzen telly, actually has. This also has a bone nut, whereas the Fender actually has a synthetic nut. So that's kind of the second premium style feature. And then another couple of very obvious ones, which are the fact that you have this beautiful roasted maple neck, which kind of means it's got a little bit more stability in it, in the roasted maple, than in your common or garden average maple neck, which you will find on the Fender model. It's a modern C, and when we play it, we'll have a look at how that feels in the hand. But just to touch, the finish is satin, as you can see. There's no gloss or anything on there. And I'm going to actually use a phrase of Paul's from Milehouse Studios, which is satin AF.
He is satin as fuck.
It absolutely feels gorgeous. Very, very nice feel to that neck. It's a 9.5-inch radius. Richie Kotzen's telly is a much chunkier neck. So it's more of like that kind of baseball bat style neck, whereas this is a slimmer modern C. And the Fender telly is a 12-inch radius. This is a 9.5-inch, as you find on most sort of standard T-style guitars. So that's a much more kind of regular feature of most of Jet's T-style guitars as well. But the other very nice feature about it, the rolled fretboard edges that we're sort of coming to expect now from Jet guitars, really, which they don't really kind of feature in their advertising, but feels really, really nice, very smooth. These frets are very well finished. They are not sharp at all. I can actually see where they've been rounded off. I don't know if you can get a little bit closer in, but you can see these frets have been all very well finished, very well rounded off. They look great. They feel great. We have 22 medium jumbo frets, which is a really nice happy middle ground between kind of making it easier to shred and bend, but also chords stay in tune when you fret them because they're not too tall. So that's absolutely ideal, in my opinion. You have the Jet sort of signature style neck joint, which I think is absolutely lovely. That very, very comfortable carve when you get to the neck heel, which is a real feature of Jet guitars. And obviously the Fender guitars usually have a more squared off heel joint, which can feel quite blocky, I think. But we'll come on to all the different comfort cutaways and carvings on the body in just a minute. But yeah, bolt-on neck, as you would expect. The body is actually mahogany with a flame maple cap. So you can see the binding there. That is an actual maple cap, which again is another very premium feeling feature, particularly at this price point. Now, the Fender Richie Kotzen telly is actually a swamp ash body, and it has a maple laminate on the top. So in my opinion, I think this is actually slightly better quality. Those seem like better quality woods to me. And I actually think this finish is stunning. It's a beautiful, beautiful flame maple sunburst finish. I think this is gorgeous. And as I say, I have seen the real Richie Kotzen telly in real life up close. And it really isn't a patch on this. It really doesn't look anything special compared to this. It doesn't. So that, to me, at this price point is kind of insane. The pickups here are a regular sort of Alnico single coil pickup in the neck. And what you have here is what they call a J-rail. It's actually a humbucker, and I think that's meant to be modelled after the sort of Damasio Chopper T pickup that Richie has in his telly. So he has a Damasio Twang King and a Damasio Chopper T. So the same kind of hot rail idea. However, you have actually more tonal pickup switching options on this guitar than you would have on the Richie Kotzen telly. So that just has your regular neck, bridge and middle position where you can select both. And obviously we have the same three-way selector switch here, but we also have a push-pull tone pot which coil splits the J-rail. So you can have each of those single coils if you want to. And we'll go through some of those tonal options when we play through and have a listen to some of the tones. But that is a very neat feature. And I think offering more versatility of tone is an extra added value feature to the player that, you know, doesn't probably cost very much more to actually put in the guitar, and it just feels like it adds so much more value. So the features that this body has that make it similar to the Fender Richie Kotzen model are the cutaways in terms of this, what they call tummy cut on the back, or comfort cut, as Richie calls it, very diplomatically, and the carve on the front for comfort of the playing arm, which comes over this way, of course. Usually the front of a Telecaster is quite flat and straight, and that can sort of impede your playing. So that's got a nice kind of chamfer on the corner, which is something that I actually put on the guitar that I made myself, because that just seems like a no-brainer. Strats have it, and they're super comfortable to play because of it. The other thing that this has is this sort of signature jet cutaway, which makes it really, really easy to access those top frets for anyone who would like to. Most of us, you know, probably aren't too bothered about that, but it does make it more comfortable if you are going to try and do any Richie Kotzen style shredding up here. So yeah, it is more comfortable than a regular telly, and I think in some ways that's going to give it a little bit of an edge over my thin line telly, which is, as you know, sort of completely straight and flat on the front and on the back. So 6 individual saddles, which I think is great because that means you can set your action appropriately to the fretboard radius. That gauge is resting just nicely on all of those strings. If you push down, it does push down on all of them, so that's been set up quite well out of the factory. And obviously you can intonate this as well using each of the 6 individual saddles, and it looks to me like this has been intonated because you've got the classic 3 steps and 3 steps there. So we'll check all of this when we check the tuning, which we will do in a second. But first, we're going to check and see if we've got any cheeky rockers in terms of the frets. So with your fret rocker, cover the first 3 frets right in the middle and see if you get any rocks. And there are no rocks there. That's a rock solid. So let's go up and down. Slight little rock there. A little bit. Yeah. Do you have some cheeky rockers right at the end that I don't think you would really notice? And I think that you could just get your fertilizer and just go over those a little bit if you wanted to. So, how is the action out of the box? Where are we at? Let's have a little look. So, the action is a little bit high. It's about 2 mil and about 1.75 on the high E, which I think is all right. That's okay for me. I would find that action perfectly acceptable. I don't have a notch straight edge at the moment, waiting for Milehouse Studios to bring out his branded tool set, so I'll be getting one of those when they're out and available. But for now, just to do a quick check and see whether we needed to adjust the truss rod or anything, which I don't think we'll need to, you can just hold down the string at the 1st fret and at the 12th fret. And how much daylight can you see underneath the string? I know I'm the wrong way round. But also how much play is there in the string, and there's really nothing. Barely anything at all there. And that is kind of ideal, really. So I would say that that neck is pretty straight. I don't think we're going to have any issues with string buzz or any issues with intonation, but let's check that now. So before we get to the really exciting bit, which is actually plugging it in and playing it, seeing what it sounds like and what the different tones are that you can get from the different pickups, we're just going to have a look at how it's been set up out of the box. We had a little look at the action, which is kind of 2 mil and 1.75 mil on the the bottom and top E strings respectively, which is really what you'd expect from a new guitar out of the box from the factory. So pretty good. As I say, looks like it's kind of been intonated as well. So I'm just going to have a little look at the tuning now and see how far out it is, and whether we need to make any adjustments before we plug it in and start playing. Spot on. That was pretty close. Again, really close, almost perfect. 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 So that's not very helpful because I wanted to test out the tuners. So I'm going to have to detune and tune it back up. I've gone way past it now. Right, tuners feel really nice and smooth, nice and easy to use, nice ratio, as I would expect, really. They feel really solid and just really, really, really nice to use. Let's check the intonation, actually. Let's give that a go. Pretty perfect. Very slightly sharp. Sharp again a little bit, just by a cent. I actually think that was how I was fretting it, because that's fine now. Perfect. 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 That is pretty much spot on. I think that A is sharp by about a cent. It's not something I'm actually going to bother to do anything about. I won't hear it in my playing. I don't think that it's worth bothering with. However, if you wanted to, because it has 6 individual adjustable saddles, you could just take a screwdriver there and quite easily adjust that intonation. So if I decided I was definitely going to keep this guitar and do a full setup and adjust the action and everything, then I probably would look more closely at getting the intonation spot on. But in terms of this demonstration and getting it plugged in and playing for you to hear what it sounds like, I don't think I'm actually going to do any of that, and I don't think it's going to make any difference. This has come really, really well set up, if I'm honest. I feel like this is going to be really, really nice to play, and I just want to get on with it, quite frankly. So let's get stuck in. I will just briefly mention, because I forgot, that this is a 1-ply pickguard. Now, the Richie Kotzen Fender Telly also has a 1-ply pickguard. However, I think it's more of an off-white or an aged white sort of colour, which would be more sort of in keeping with the binding. So yeah, this is a brilliant white pickguard, and it's perhaps not the best match to the binding, but yeah, I mean, you might have expected it to be a 3-ply pickguard at this price, but Fender's isn't, and that is 4 times as much, if not more. So we're plugged into the Katana, and we are on the crunch amp. So if we're going for a kind of Richie Kotzen tone with our Richie Kotzen here, we're going to go on the crunch setting, because that is the amp it's modelled on is kind of a Fender twin reverb, I think. Or it's a Fender style amp anyway, which is going to be close, I think, to the kind of thing that Richie Kotzen normally uses. He also uses his own Tech 21 fly rig, which I've seen him use live, and that was all he did. He just had his fly rig and then into the amp. So I don't have one of those, of course. So I'm just sort of using the panel on the Katana, no patches or anything fancy like that, just to dial in a little bit of reverb, a little bit of delay. The gainers are put at sort of 12 o'clock to start with, and everything else, all the EQs are at 12 o'clock. So we're just going to see how this sounds. I'm going to have the volume, pretty much all the way up. That's what I usually do. A little bit hard to tell with these knobs, because there's no numbers or anything. So you just have to sort of judge it. But we're going to start with the volume all the way up, and the tone kind of all the way up as well in terms of more treble. So we're just going to have a little playthrough to give you an overview of some of the tones and sounds of this guitar and what the pickups are like. There are 5 switching options. So you've got the neck single coil, neck and bridge, so the single coil and the J-rail humbucker. J-rail humbucker by itself. Then you can pull the push-pull coil split switch pot there and have just the J-rail single coil mode, or kind of 2 single coils, neck and bridge single coil with the middle position again. So those are your 5 options, and I'm just going to play through them all and see what you think. Those are all 5 positions. So if we go back to the neck single coil pickup and try a little bit of a solo. So there we are. You've heard it, you've seen it. I've talked a little bit about how it came set up. Actually, really quite nicely. Very, very playable, I have to say. And yeah, first thoughts are that I'm really impressed. It's very comfortable. It feels very, very nice to play. It's pretty easy to play and easy to figure out what pickup you're on and use the controls. So I think it's fair to say that my first impressions of the Jet JT600 BS G are very, very positive indeed. However, if this stays, then this has to go. So I think it's only fair that we do a proper shootout, and I'm going to do that in the next video. In the meantime, let me know your thoughts and comments, please, and I will mull those over whilst I think about the dilemma that I'm facing with these guitars. Okay, thanks everyone.